How do we encourage cultures in nonprofit that truly support bold action and also honest dialogue?
Yeah, and the feeling part of it, pardon my French, but we've got to let that bullshit go because we've known since the early to mid 80s that passion alone has just been a thing that's not enough to pay people. It's rarely in the staff retention research we've done and for-profit research that's out there. It's never really compensation that's top of the list for the reason people are disenchanted or that they leave. Like you can't be paid poverty wages, but experience and exposure have not for decades been the thing that keeps people. But I have one and a half what I feel are good stories to share for this particular question. Tasha, you've probably heard me tell this one a million times, but both quick stories are related to one another. So last year I went to a conference for people who do what I do in independent schools. And there was no theme of this conference, but the sort of tenor of the day was people feeling like they just had the capacity to do 7 things and they're always doing 11 things. So that net negative feeling going into it. And every session that came up and I was the new guy, I kept raising my hand and just saying, we're doing this to ourselves, y'all. It's that kind of thing. So that's where this came from. But one of the sessions was these 2 people who do fundraising for a school who got up there and were talking about how to like really push through and persevere during annual fund season, which for anyone who's working in higher ed or K through 12 education, it's a thing. And they had a cute slide up there with the picture of the corner of their desk and like how we get through. There was a picture of Dayquil, NyQuil, Zyrtec, and all the other things. Like the God forbid we have to take a sick day corner of the desk. And everyone looked around the room at each other like we were waiting for Ashton Kutcher to jump out. Like, you're unpunked. This is not really how it should be. And then we got to the very end of the conference and I put my hand up and I said, can we, a small group of us, we were going around the room to see what topics people wanted to talk about, or they were calling it unconference. And the suggestion I had was, can we all get together and talk about doing more by doing fewer things? Because then we have to allow for space for the mess to come. And everyone was like, yeah, that's the topic of the day. And 0 people came to my table to talk about that. 0 people. There were probably 40 of them in the room. But who did end up coming, which was funny and ironic, were the 2 people who got up there and were showing the Dayquil, NyQuil picture. And they said, we just felt bad that nobody came to your table. And I'm like, then I give up, because we can't, on the one hand, talk about wanting cultural change and being the ones who are loud about it on LinkedIn, and then we do the other thing. The 0.5 part of this story is about a week ago, I was working with a group of people here in Houston to put together a conference. And we were finishing up the call. And this particular conference, we're going to talk outwardly and openly about managing our workloads and being right by ourselves. And at the very end, the person who had convened us said, now here's my cell phone number. You all can call and text at any time, even if it's 11 p.m. I am online and I'll respond to you. And I said, what? Like, how can we have this whole conversation for an hour and 10 minutes and still come to the table and just say, but by the way, I'm just going to shit that all out the window, pardon my French again. So I think the stories alone are where I want to take a little bit of a pause and say the whole impetus behind the we're doing it to ourselves thing is, if we're not going to work as people who have influence in the way that we model the things that we're doing, there is no world where if we bring these values of self-care and guidance and health and all those things to the table, and those things gel with an organization's culture, we have to start that work inwardly.